Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. I am of course Sam, an English guy living in provincial Russia in the city of Vladimir, and today I'm going to be walking around my neighbourhood because it's quite cold outside but the sun's out and not much wind, so great chance to just have a walk and talk video. And I'm going to be talking about the reasons I left the UK, moved to Russia and decided to stay here. Now, I just want to say a bit of a disclaimer to start with. I've seen this video being made before by other YouTubers, and well, a lot of people talk a lot of bullshit, and the reason they talk that is because they're playing to a particular audience. If I make a video now, if this video and I say, look, the reasons that I left the UK is because everything in the UK is bad, and then find all the reasons why Russia is amazing, well, the Russians that watch this will say, wow, yeah, incredible guy, welcome to Russia, I'm so glad you moved here. And then at the same time, all the kind of disillusioned Brits that are living in the UK and thinking of perhaps moving abroad, they'll be like, yeah, we support you, well done, you know. And I think obviously there's some reasons why I moved to Russia because of the things I love. And there also are things I don't like about the UK. But I quite often find that when people make these videos, they say, these are the reasons I moved to Russia. And then they talk about things that they couldn't have known until they'd actually moved here. And so they're not actually the reasons that they moved, are they? So anyway, just wanted to get that out of the way because this video isn't going to be playing to a Russian audience who are going to say, wow, Sam, we love you for moving to Russia. Thanks for saying those things. Thanks for saying all the bad things you hate about your country, because I don't think that that's the way to move forward. I think if you're going to move to Russia and you're going to become a traitor and start slagging off the country you're from, then there's a chance that, there's a chance that in a couple of years' time, you move away from Russia and start slagging off Russia and become a traitor to Russia too. So I don't think you should really, you know, criticize the place that you're from. There's good things and bad things in every place in the world. So reason number one, I was always interested in Russia. I was always fascinated in Russia. The times before the internet, before any of that, my first fascination started when I got the what's it called, the Weetabix Atlas. I think it was like 1986, 87, 88, and I remember seeing the pages talking about the Soviet Union, and obviously I knew nothing about it then. I was, what, 10 years old, so no idea at all. But then fast forward to, well, Andrei Kanchelskis, Man United, my favourite football team, signed the Ukrainian, well, he was born in the Ukraine, in the Donetsk region, classed himself as Russian though, of course, and opted to play for the Russian national team when the Soviet Union disbanded. And he signed for Man United in, I think it was 91, 92, like end of the Soviet Union. And he wrote a book about his time growing up and information about Russia and stuff like that. And at that moment I became fascinated. It was a country that I didn't know much about, and I was thinking, wow, I want to come to Russia and find out what it's all about. And I was like, you know, 13, 14 at the time, but I was so fascinated and I thought, this is something I want to learn more about. So here on this garage on the side it says respect, and it says here in red, it says value the friends that you've had for many years, and they're kind of like, well, tried and tested. I don't know how to say it, you know, you trust them and believe in them, right? They've had your back. Over here we've got allotments, and the allotments are slowly going to start, well, seeing some people go to them as we end winter and spring is just around the corner, although you never know this year with the weather we've been having. So the next reason number two why I moved to Russia, I guess escapism in some sort of level, at some sort of level, escapism. And why did I want to escape the UK? Well, I've got a twin brother, and when you have a twin brother and you're identical twins and you're both the same height, you both look similar, you kind of get labelled as one person. I could be walking down the street, someone will come up to me and say, how's it going, mate? You know, I saw you last night, you were pretty drunk. And I'll be like, yeah, that wasn't me, I was somewhere else. And you kind of just get labelled as one person, and it's difficult to form your own identity, especially if you're living in the same area. Now, me and my brother were actually very different in terms of the people we hung around with, the music we liked. And I was also at like a crossroads in my life at the point when I decided to come to Russia. I'd been hanging around with a kind of a group of people that I've been hanging around with for many years, and I realized that my life was not going in the right direction if I continued on the path that I was going down. And so I made a few big changes in my life, and I decided to try something that I was always interested in when I was younger, and that was coming to Russia. And I remember I bought this book. It was a really thick book, like thicker than the Bible, and it was a book all about Russia, everything to do with Russia. And I was just fascinated by all the things. It was a guide to Lonely Planet, that was it, Lonely Planet Guide to Russia. It was like so much information there about how Russia's changed since the breakup of the Soviet Union. And I was lucky that I made friends with a Russian family, and that Russian family were from Vladimir. And that is how I ended up coming here. Now, they live in the UK, but their son has now actually moved back here. But it was initially through them that I was able to come to Russia. I came on a holiday with them and then with their friends, and that is why I ended up moving to Vladimir. So this is the first time that I've been here when this has been open. Sometimes have a little walk down there. I guess it's an allotment complex, why not? It says Garden and Semyazina, which is the area that we're in. So let's take a walk down here. Oh, this is really cool. It's really cool to come to a place right near my house that I've never been to before. And on this rubbish bin here, it says my name, but instead of using the letter E, they've used the Ye. Siem. And check out this fence. That is really interesting and really well thought up, isn't it? Is that bamboo they've used, or is it just sticks? Let's have a touch and see. I think there might just be sticks. Oh no, it's bamboo. That's really cool. Really cool idea. How cool is this? I love looking at allotments. You can see he's got his water here, the pipe. And look at that, he's got a nice big mirror there on that. I think it's probably a toilet. And that's going to be the allotment shed. We've got some benches and things, and you can see we've got a place where he's probably growing the vegetables down there. Pretty cool. And look, we've got another gate here. I'm worried though, if I go through this gate here, then they'll close the gate and I get stuck inside. That'd be pretty crappy, wouldn't it? So the next reason that I moved to Russia was adventure. I knew nothing really about Russia apart from what I'd read in books. Internet was in its infancy, so I'd really had no real idea of what Russia was going to be like when I came here initially on holiday. Obviously I was with Russian people who were looking after me for a couple of weeks, but then I decided to come here on a student visa and study Russian. Now, I virtually never went to any classes. At that time I was 25 years. So I just had a really cool chat with a guy that has this allotment next to us here. Obviously didn't film it. You know, sometimes it's just not comfortable just filming conversations, right? Especially in your own town. If you go to a different town, you kind of don't really care because you're in a different town. But when it's your own town, it's different. I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you go on holiday. When you go on holiday, you're just a bit more free, right? You kind of just do things because you think, I'm never going back there. So anyway, this guy, Victor, he was telling me about how he's got the cleanest water ever here, spring water. He said, come by in the summer and come and grab some water from me. And he's the person that opened the gate. So he's just telling me, make sure you don't get locked inside. So we've got a little bit of a lake here, well, a pond, I guess. They probably do a bit of fishing in it. They might fill it with fish and then fish. And I can see that house there. It's got steps going down and then leads onto like this little balcony, maybe terrace thing. They probably stand on there and fish, I guess. So coming to Russia was, you know, just a giant leap of faith to see what was going to be here. Had a really crazy time when I first came. It was really fun. Obviously I knew nothing and I was kind of like on my own. The good thing about being in Vladimir was that every now and again I could approach the friends of the Russians who showed me Vladimir initially. Obviously they were back in the UK, but I could reach out to their friends, and I think to be honest, their friends were a bit tired of me, because like we've been forced to become friends because we had the mutual friends rather than them actually being friends. And one of my friends from that time, I kind of hang around with him all the time. He probably was tired of me, and actually afterwards, after many years, we actually then became friends, which was, to start with, I was probably just this annoying foreigner that needed help all the time. The great thing about these allotments is you've got a little allotment, and you know, the person I guess could stay here the night if he wanted to. He's got a little kind of dacha hut there that's probably got his tools and stuff inside. It's not for permanent living, but to come here in the summer, do some work, do some planting some vegetables. You can see we've got electricity connected, and I've seen around the side he's got a banya. So here you can see that this dude's got a banya. Could be a woman obviously calling him a dude, but this is a banya that you can just purchase like that. And yeah, I bet he has good fun here. He's got a gate at the end, look, that goes into the little lake. Would you like to have an allotment like this? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. So when I first moved to Russia, I found it extremely difficult, I got to be honest. This was again the time before smartphones or anything like that. Internet was kind of in its infancy, especially in Russia, and so the language barrier and everything else, I just found it really difficult. We had one supermarket in the town at that point, one supermarket, and all the other shops, everything else was behind the counter. And people often ask me, Sam, how do I learn Russian? Well, when I lived here initially, you would have to go to a shop, stand in a queue, and everything that you needed you had to ask for, and all the goods were behind the counter. And so you had to point to things, ask for things, and you know, with your awful broken Russian, and there was people in the queue behind you that were impatient and wanted you to hurry up. There were the people that were working in the shop that didn't want to be working there and didn't have the time and the patience to help you. And it was a different world, but it was a challenge, and that's why I liked it. It was an adventure and a challenge, and I made some amazing friends here. That was one of the things. I made some amazing friends. I made friends initially with the foreigners that were living in Russia. Foreign students come here to study. Unfortunately, the bad thing about being friends with foreign students is eventually most of them leave. Some of them will leave and go to Moscow, and then the rest of them, they'll just leave entirely. They'll come here, they'll get their, you know, they'll get their qualification, then they might just go back to the country where they're from. And so I had lots and lots of really great friends who I still have that live all around the world. But unfortunately, when you do make friends with foreign people rather than Russian people, they end up leaving. So many buildings are painted green, and many people ask me why is that, and I have no idea. So if you're a Russian person and you know why, let me know in the comments. Look at this nice barbecue area the guy's got here. And again, this one's a little bit bigger. I guess potentially he could live here for the whole summer. Which way to go? I'm kind of already a bit lost, which isn't a good thing. So here you can see the cans on top of the fence, and they work in two ways. When it blows, when the wind blows, they rattle and scare off any predators, any birds of prey. And then the second reason is they stop the fence from rusting. I'm guessing that it's open up there and the water could go down and they could get rusted. So there you go. And obviously it looks interesting, right? This is all condensed milk. And we've got some peas. So the next reason that I stayed in Russia was progress. For me, moving away from my twin brother, going to a completely different country, somewhere that I was obviously interested about anyway, meeting friends, but those friends would eventually leave. So I had to decide at one point, well, what am I going to do? I need to make Russian friends, and I need to improve my language. I need to, you know, think, what am I going to do, right? I'm going to open some sort of business. What's my goal? And it was around about that time that I decided to open an English language school where I helped gap year students from the UK to move to Russia for a year, teach English to the locals, learn Russian themselves, and I started doing business in Russia for the first time, something that I never could have imagined. I started improving my Russian, and at the same time I started seeing the progress in the country. The country was changing an awful lot, and it was that progress, seeing it all happen, living in a place where things were changing so quickly. Now, things changed so quickly, I guess, in part because they were pretty bad in the 90s, because Russia was kind of bankrupt and didn't really have any money for the infrastructure improvements. And so I moved to Russia just when Vladimir Putin had not long become president. And so for me, I got there at the time when progress started to really happen really quickly. Ha, I'm actually quite lost. It's funny. Come on, Sam. Find the way home. It's like amazing here. Look, we've got a truck here, or what was a truck, right? And it seems to be attached on to possibly, well, something that could have been a toilet. Let's have a look. That's interesting. Wow, that's crazy. So you can see here they've gone about it a different way. They've cut bottles in half and stuck them here to block off the water, look. And they almost look like little lanterns, don't they? So the next reason that I stayed is because I fell in love with Russian traditions and culture. I found some things that I really enjoy here, like going to the banya, like barbecue. Now, I know you can have barbecue anywhere in the world, but in Russia, they're just different at it. I really enjoy going to the forest, going swimming in ice water, or dipping in the lakes in summer. That whole outdoor lifestyle that Russia has is completely different to the UK. Now, I know the UK has national parks and all that kind of stuff, but here it's more kind of ingrained into the mind of everyone that the forest is yours. Go there, pick your mushrooms, right? Go camping, go swimming in lakes, in wild lakes, just enjoy the nature. And so these things really made me fall in love with Russia. And that leads me on to the next thing. People make use of all different types of materials here in the allotments to build their houses. Over here we have a scarecrow, but I can't really get to it because, well, the snow is going to be too deep. The next thing is that when I went back to the UK, it no longer felt like home. You have in your mind how things were when you left, and the friends and people that you knew and things you knew about, they move on, and you think you're going to go back and it's going to be like it was, but you go back and it's all changed, and you start to miss Russia when you're there, and you think, this is different. I don't know, I feel different about the UK, which is really weird because you're from there. But yeah, you'd go back home and you start to miss things about Russia. You'd want to be back in Russia, and everything in the UK wouldn't feel like home anymore. So you can see that this house, people are probably living in it full time. I can see the steam coming out there. The next amazing thing is the climate. In Russia, it's great to have real winters and real summers. Now, autumn can be also extremely beautiful, and spring can be either really long or really short, but it makes you appreciate the seasons. When it's cold, you appreciate the hot. When it's really hot, you appreciate the cold. And all the seasons have things you can do only in those seasons, and so it really is magical. In autumn, we collect mushrooms. In winter, all the winter sports. In summer, the swimming. We actually do swimming in winter as well, if you see my videos, but it's more like dipping than swimming. the next thing is something that when I went back to the UK, I realized that Russia didn't have, and I didn't realize it to start with until I went back to the UK and I was like, wow, it's so different. In the UK, you can go to the corner shop at night time and you'll see some young lads hanging around there, and the chances are that someone's going to say something stupid to you. Do you say something back? Do you cause an argument? You end up having a fight. Anti-social behaviour in the UK is pretty crazy. If you go out on a Saturday night to, you know, around the city centre, you know what I'm talking about. It is crazy. And I used to have people want to fight me all the time because I'm tall. People would come up to me and say, you know, I would get maybe 50 comments a weekend about my height, about my clothes, about what my mum did to make me this tall, and everything else in between. Whereas in the UK, whereas in Russia, no one says anything at all, ever, because you respect people you don't know. You don't go up to them and say stupid things for no reason. So finally, why did I stay so long? Over 20 years, become a Russian citizen. Well, it just feels like home. I like it here. I'm relaxed here. I enjoy living here. And I'm happy here. And you've got to live where you're happy. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, you'll always be treated like an outsider. You can only be you, right? You can't be someone else. So it doesn't matter what other people think of you. You can only be yourself. And in the UK, I felt like an outsider, right? In the UK, pretty much all of my friends are second generation immigrants. And so I was like the only white guy with all my friends. So I'm used to kind of feeling like I'm on the edge of society. I'm completely fine with it. I'm happy here and I enjoy it here. And so that's why I stayed. And that's why I'll probably stay for the rest of my life. Now, there's some times when I think, oh, I'd like to move somewhere for a couple of months where it's really hot and enjoy living in a scorching hot country. But I could also do that in the south of Russia, right? So I don't know if that list of reasons was beneficial to you or not, or interesting to you or not. Sorry, I didn't take one particular side. I was just giving an honest opinion. And if the video doesn't get any views, well, it doesn't get any views, but at least I've been honest and shown and shared my opinion rather than what I think is going to get the views, right? Now, also, I'm quite happy to make a video about how I see the UK now after living here for so long, or the things I don't like about living in Russia. Blimey, that dog scared me. Blimey, they're everywhere, aren't they? Just stop barking in the middle of the video. Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I'm the one walking down the street with the camera, right? They're just chilling out in their houses. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave me a comment. Tell me something that I missed. Share maybe a reason that you'd like to move from where you're living, or a reason you wouldn't like to move. Tell me what it is you love about the place that you live, and maybe some things you don't like either. If you want to join my Telegram chat group, you can do. Click the link below the video. And also, if you want to book a free phone call with me, samsrussianadventures.com, ask me anything Russia related, I'll be happy to help you. Okay, see you in the next one.